Hey, this is VoidBurger, and let's talk about Rawshocks. Rawshocks are the baddies in Silent Hill Shattered Memories. They are the sole hostile creature in this game and only appear in the ice world. Their names are a pun on a Rorschach Test, also known as an ink blot test, a psychological test in which the subject's perceptions of ink blots are recorded and then analyzed using psychological interpretation, complex scientifically derived algorithms, or both. Some psychologists use this test to examine a person's personality characteristics and emotional functioning.
Now, tell me, what does this remind you of?
Girls.
What does this remind you of?
Girls.
What does this remind you of?
Girls.
You are obsessed with girls!
Hey, you're the one showing me all the sexy pictures.
Oh.
Some skeptics consider the Rorschach inkblot test to be pseudoscientific, and several studies have suggested that conclusions reached via test administrators since the 1950s were akin to cold reading and tended to be warped by invisible correlation, illusory correlation, tester projection, etc. Back to Rawshocks themselves, the gimmick about them is that they change to reflect your psychological profile over the course of the game. There are 5 forms the Rawshocks may take during the game. Let's run through them. Blank Slate Rawshocks. These are the monsters you start the game out with. Your PI, or personal/psychological inventory, is not strong enough by this point to influence their appearance yet. They mostly appear in the first nightmare, and their population dwindles as you progress further in the game and your psych profile beefs up. Sexy Lady Rawshocks. We've been seeing these a lot in the Let's Play so far, due to my perhaps overly enthusiastic attempt to get sexy Sybil at the beginning of the game. Also, there's enough sex PI in this game that it's frickin' impossible to avoid it sometimes. Anyway, too much sexual PI makes your Rawshocks take on exaggerated feminine features. Nice boobs, nice buns, high heel shaped feet, and Steven Tyler's supple lips. They also have stitches and fleshy tears all over their bodies, forming shapes reminiscent of corsets and stockings. To get these Rawshocks, be a total sleaze. Look at as many suggestive and sexual things as possible, and stare at everyone's tits and asses when the opportunity presents itself. You know, like real life. I'm sorry. Bloated, diseased Rawshocks. You'll see these featured in the Let's Explore the Third Nightmare video. These Rawshocks appear tumorous, swollen, and bloated, similar perhaps to the insane cancers of Silent Hill 3. They're related to alcohol PI, so stare at the booze incessantly if you want to see them during your game. Atrophied Rawshocks. These guys are skinny and sickly looking, with holes all over their bodies and bones protruding from them. Some of their limbs are malformed and appear as useless, digitless stubs. So really, it's pretty impressive they can hold on to Harry so well. They're obtained by being a huge meanie doo-doo head to everyone you meet, but ignoring sex and alcohol PI as much as possible. Being distracted by dumb things also indicates that you're a dick because you're not very focused on finding Cheryl, so that'll help you out too. Being Harry Mason Classic, basically a nice guy who's actually concerned about his damn daughter, rewards you with the only Rawshock I actually kinda like, the abstract, geometric, sliced-up Rawshocks. With cross-shaped heads with giant holes in the middle and slices of body parts hovering inexplicably, these guys look cool! And all you have to do to get them is pretty much not play the game like a normal person would. Yeah, you know, don't dawdle, don't get distracted, don't look at anything interesting, because you definitely just got a heaping dose of sex PI for looking at that, you idiot. Be unwaveringly nice to people, and just rush through the game as much as you can to find your daughter. Urgency. And seeing this Rawshock during the LP is a great sign, because that would mean that our PI is doing what I'm trying to make it do. So let's see if we can about-face our PI by the end of this game and come out as the good guy after all the sex PI we've accumulated at the beginning of the game.